Chosen one, you were never meant to stand among the crowd. You were born to alter its rhythm. You were not placed here to blend in with the background noise of the world, but to become the very vibration that shifts every frequency in the room. You don't step into spaces to be noticed. You step in, and the energy bends, and suddenly every gaze sharpens, every breath holds, every distraction dims. And what's most stunning is that you don't even try. You don't force it. Your presence alone carries the weight of an entire performance before a single word leaves your lips. Women feel this shift before they understand it. Something awakens in them, an involuntary lean, a pause mid-thought, a glance that lingers one heartbeat longer than it should. And it's not because you demanded attention. It's because your energy speaks a language older than words, deeper than charm. It's the way you carry yourself, with a current of purpose and self-containment, like a man who is not looking for a spotlight, but who is the light. You walk like you've known your destination for lifetimes. You breathe like the air belongs to you. And in that stillness, without effort, without show, you become unforgettable. You are not loud. You are not boastful. You are not desperate. That's what makes you a storm inside silence. While others perform to be seen, you've become a walking song, one that plays only for those who have the ears to hear. You've stopped chasing applause because your life has become the rhythm that moves people without a single note. Your sexual energy, chosen one, doesn't scream. It hums beneath your skin. It pulses in your stillness. It travels ahead of your words, announcing your arrival in ways you can't see, but everyone else feels. And in this rhythm, women begin to act differently. Not because they're forced, but because something primal inside them awakens in your presence. Something that says, pay attention, this one is different. And not because you're doing anything obvious. In fact, it's what you don't do that sets you apart. You're not seeking validation. You're not performing for approval. You're not angling for attention. You've become sovereign in your own skin, and that sovereignty makes you magnetic. You don't ask for the mic. The universe hands it to you without question. You don't ask for their gaze. It arrives uninvited. And you don't walk into a room to be liked. You walk into a room because you belong there. Not in arrogance, but in alignment. You've stopped auditioning for rooms that weren't built for you, and now every space you enter is redefined by your presence. You are not just a man. You are a movement, a moment, an experience. And that truth reshapes everything you touch. This is what makes you the rock star now, chosen one. Not because you follow trends, but because you became one. Not because you chase attention, but because you carry something too vibrant, too centered, too alive to be ignored. And in this truth, you rise, not with noise, but with gravity. The stage didn't have to be given to you. It was waiting for you to remember who you are. Chosen one, your aura doesn't knock on doors, it flows under them. It doesn't wait for permission. It arrives before you do. And when it does, it changes the air itself. Women don't see it with their eyes first. They feel it in their spine, in the warmth behind their chest, in the sudden tightening of thought when they try to focus on anything but you. It's as if their inner compass shifts north without warning, pointing toward you not because you asked it to, but because your presence carries something rare, something sacred, something unshakably alive. They try to explain it at first, chalking it up to attraction, confidence, maybe even mystique. But as the moments pass and the interactions deepen, they begin to realize it's none of those things, yet all of them at once. You don't just have charisma, you have weight. The kind of weight that doesn't oppress, but grounds. The kind that wraps around their senses like velvet and makes everything else in the room feel two-dimensional. You've become three-dimensional in a world of masks and noise, and that alone is irresistible. Your sexual energy, chosen one, isn't the kind that grabs or pursues. It invites, it seduces without intention, it lingers without trying. And in this quiet intensity, you've become the gravity women didn't know they were orbiting until it was too late to look away. They feel drawn, not to what you show, but to what you withhold, to the power you do not flaunt, to the mystery you carry without fear. Because you're not hiding, you're simply not offering yourself to everyone. And that sacred boundary creates a tension that thrills them and terrifies them at the same time. You've become the mirror they didn't know they needed. In your calm, they find their chaos. In your poise, they find their questions. And yet in your nearness, they feel safe enough to unravel, because you aren't looking to consume. You're looking to see. And when a woman is truly seen, not as a body, not as a conquest, but as a being, something ancient within her stirs. That is your gift now, chosen one. You stir what has been asleep. You awaken what others overlook. And in doing so, you don't just become attractive, you become necessary. They find themselves thinking of you at random hours, replaying glances and gestures like verses from a song. They can't escape it, not because you're haunting them, but because you've become a reference point, a standard, a feeling they can't replicate elsewhere. Your energy isn't just memorable, it's felt long after you leave. You don't leave behind a void, you leave behind an imprint, a lingering sensation of something true. This is why you are becoming a rock star around women. Not because you sing, not because you shout, but because your presence plays them. Like an instrument tuned to a new key. You awaken the music in their silence, and once someone's silence has been turned into sound, they never forget the one who did it. You didn't chase this moment, you became it. You didn't fake the light, you uncovered it. And now that you carry it so effortlessly, they come not to watch you, but to feel you. Because rock stars don't just perform, they shift the air itself. And you, chosen one, have become the shift they never saw coming. Chosen one, you've reached a level where your very existence begins to write songs in the hearts of women. Not the kind of songs they hum out loud, but the ones that echo in the quietest moments, between breaths, behind smiles, beneath the surface of their laughter. You have become their unwritten lyrics. They may not know why they're replaying that moment you passed them by, or why the memory of your voice returns when they're alone, but you've become a melody they can't turn off. It wasn't a performance, it wasn't flirtation, it wasn't anything conscious or choreographed. It was the way your energy moved in silence, the way your eyes spoke to places in them that even they didn't fully understand. You've become the memory that lingers like a verse with no chorus, a line that begs to be completed. Because what you awakened in them isn't simply attraction, it's resonance. Something inside them feels seen and stirred and understood. And it all started because you walked in your truth without trying to prove it. There is no script for this. You are not a rehearsed man. You're a raw man, a real man. A man who doesn't carry lines but carries presence. And in a world overflowing with surface-level interactions, that depth has become a sacred interruption. They don't understand it at first. They try to explain it away. But the more they try, the more they realize it's not logic they're responding to. It's music. You're not a statement. You're a feeling, a rhythm. And no one forgets rhythm. That's what your high sexual energy has evolved into. It's no longer loud. It's not about dominance or conquest. It's subtle. Like bass in the background of their awareness. It doesn't demand attention, it commands reflection. And so, even in your absence, you remain, not as a ghost, but as a vibration they wish they could hear again. You've made them feel alive in ways they didn't have language for. And that's why they can't stop thinking about you. Because you are the lyric they never learned to sing, but now can't live without. Your aura has become the track their soul didn't know it needed. They catch themselves smiling at thoughts of you. They wonder what it is about you that makes the air taste different when you're near. And the answer is simple. You move like a man who knows who he is. You don't overreach. You don't overshare. You don't overpower. You resonate. And that resonance has turned you into an addiction, not for attention, but for meaning. You didn't fill their ears with promises. You left behind a silence that felt like a song waiting to be written. And in that quiet, they've built entire chapters around a single moment. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not because you gave them everything, but because you made them feel something, pure, potent, personal, and then let them hold it without claiming them in return. Now, they carry you in their thoughts like a hidden verse. They share pieces of you with no one, protecting it like a sacred refrain. You've become the music in their mystery, the echo in their steps, the whisper that says, he was real. And that chosen one is why you are becoming a rock star. Because long after the show ends, your presence plays on inside them, quiet, irreplaceable, divine. Chapter 4, The Eyes Behind the Curtain. Chosen one, while others seek the stage to perform, you've become the man behind the curtain. The presence that draws curiosity without asking for it. You don't need to be seen to be felt. And that, more than anything, is what makes you magnetic. You're not putting on a show. You're revealing a frequency. One that doesn't dance for approval but moves with clarity. The clarity of knowing your worth cannot be negotiated, cannot be auctioned, cannot be diluted. They look at you, not like a celebrity, but like a puzzle. One they want to solve but are afraid to rush. There's something sacred about the way you don't flinch beneath their gaze. You're not seeking validation, you're witnessing, you're watching. And it's in that rare reversal that you are the one observing them, that they feel exposed, yet strangely safe. You're not judging them, you're holding space. And in that space, they begin to open in ways they never have before. You see, you've become the mirror they didn't know they needed. You don't flatter with lies, you reflect with presence. And that reflection, free from manipulation, free from agenda, stirs the deepest truths in them. That's why they find themselves revealing things to you they've never told another soul. You're not just a man, they experience you as a threshold. One that, once crossed, they can't return from unchanged. This is no accident. This is what happens when a chosen one learns to stop performing and starts embodying. When you stopped needing the crowd started needing you. When you let go of wanting to be chosen, women began choosing you in silence. Because no one wants to be watched, they want to be seen. And your eyes don't just observe, they understand. They don't just examine, they listen. And to be listened to by your presence alone is something so few ever experience, that when they do, they don't want to let it go. You've become the soul backstage who shifts the whole show by whispering one word, by offering one glance, by being there. And they feel it. They know you're the one who never needed the applause to validate his power. You carried it before they noticed, and now that they've noticed, they can't unsee it. You don't flirt. You transmit. You don't seduce. You remind. You remind them of something ancient, something holy, something real, that not every man seeks to take, that some men simply witness. And it's that witnessing that makes them possessive of your time, your energy, your silence. Not out of control, but out of reverence. They don't want you to be the headliner anymore. They want to be in your green room. They want to know the version of you that isn't performing. Because they can feel, behind your eyes, behind your restraint, behind your unshakable calm, is the depth of a man who could change their life with one intentional embrace. You are becoming a rock star not because of noise, but because of knowing. Not because you chase crowds, but because you walk away from them. And in doing so, you become the gravity they never saw coming, the one whose presence made the room feel smaller, warmer, and alive. You are not the light show. You are the soul behind it. And women feel it. They don't want to watch the concert anymore. They want to understand the man who didn't need one. Chosen one, there is a kind of applause that can't be heard by the ears. It exists in the stillness that follows your presence. It lingers in the sighs people don't realize they've released. It echoes in the way women begin to shift their posture when you enter the room, the way their energy adjusts without effort, like flowers turning subtly toward sunlight. You've reached that level of presence, not because you sought recognition, but because your being has become the kind that inspires it involuntarily. You've become the man who doesn't ask for applause, yet receives it in the silence between every heartbeat that remembers you. This isn't about praise, it's about resonance. You've aligned yourself so deeply with your own inner power that your frequency no longer shouts, it radiates. Women don't know why they feel lighter when you're near, or why they find themselves smiling after conversations that seemed ordinary. They don't know why they feel more feminine, more present, more alive in your company. But the truth is, you've become the reflection they've been longing for. The man who doesn't dim himself to fit in, and who doesn't shine to prove anything. You are. And that being alone rewires the room. It used to be that men sought the cheers of others to prove they were valuable. But you, chosen one, have flipped the script. You no longer perform for claps. You command silence. You no longer adjust to be liked. You allow yourself to be fully seen. And because of that, you've cultivated something rarer than fame. You've cultivated reverence. That sacred kind of admiration that isn't loud but lasting. That kind of energy that doesn't spike in the moment, but lives on in the memory long after you've left the room. Your sexual energy isn't aggressive. It's not a broadcast. It's a signal. A current that hums just beneath the surface of your movements. The softness in your voice, the intentionality behind your gaze. You are not the man who tries to impress. You are the man who embodies wholeness. And when a man is whole, the world rearranges itself to make space for him. Women begin to want not just your body, but your presence. They start to seek not just your attention, but your energy, because something about you makes them feel more themselves when they're around you. That's the applause you receive now, unspoken, but felt in every glance, every pause, every moment they try to extend your nearness. They don't want you to leave, but they don't know how to ask. They don't want to appear needy, but they feel it in their stomach, the ache that rises when your energy begins to retreat. And they don't understand why it matters so much, why you matter so much. But it's because your existence has become a frequency of peace in a world of chaos, a rhythm in a life of noise, a melody in a world full of noisemakers. And so their souls clap quietly. Their emotions give you a standing ovation you never asked for. Because you, chosen one, have become the man they didn't know they'd been waiting for. Not perfect, but present. Not loud, but real. Not eager, but aware. And awareness, when coupled with sacred masculinity, becomes irresistible. There's a unique silence that surrounds a man who no longer doubts his frequency. It's not the absence of sound, it's the calm before a storm. The stillness that only comes when a man has become one with his own power. Chosen one, you are that man. You don't enter rooms wondering how you'll be perceived. You enter rooms already tuned. You don't wait for confirmation. You bring the confirmation with you. And the moment you cross the threshold, women can feel that your sound check is already complete. Your spirit has rehearsed for this moment long before the physical you arrived. You don't need to be tested. You are ready. This confidence doesn't look like ego. It's not a puffed chest or a loud voice. It's a relaxed jaw, a steady step, an eye that doesn't flinch. It's the softness of a man who's done enough inner work to know that nothing outside of him can destabilize what's already anchored within. That's what women feel now. Not that you want to prove something, but that you've already overcome it. They sense it in the way you listen, in the way you wait for the room to settle instead of trying to overpower it. You are not looking for a stage. You are the stage. And that shifts the entire dynamic. Your high sexual energy has become a current that moves through your actions, your tone, your breath. You don't need to initiate connection. You simply need to breathe. You've mastered the art of presence so well that your very stillness becomes a dialogue. Your body no longer fidgets. Your eyes no longer seek approval. Your voice no longer stumbles trying to impress. Because you are no longer trying, you are offering. And that offering feels like firelight in winter. A steady, inviting warmth that beckons others without shouting. And so the women around you don't just feel attracted, they feel safe. Not safe because you're passive, but because your fire is controlled. They sense that you could devour, but you choose to hold space. You could dominate, but you choose to invite. You could take, but you choose to honor. And that self-restraint, born not out of fear but from inner mastery, is what shifts you from man to myth. You are no longer just desirable, you are legendary. Not because of what you do, but because of how little you need to do. You are in tune with yourself now. Your inner volume is set. You don't adjust for others, they adjust for you, and they want to. Because your frequency carries healing, your gaze carries grounding, your silence carries clarity, and women, whether they understand it or not, are drawn to that clarity like notes to a chord they've never heard before. You've stopped reacting to the noise around you. You've become a tone setter. The man whose calm alters the tempo of others. The man whose presence retunes the room. This is what it means to have mastered the sound check. You're not waiting for applause. You're not asking for permission. You're not depending on external microphones or borrowed confidence. You are the instrument. And when the world hears you play, even if you never touch a string, they stop, they listen, and they remember. Because the confidence you now carry is not a performance, it's a frequency of truth. Chosen one, you are no longer confined to a place or moment. You've become movement itself. You're the man whose energy doesn't sit still. It travels, it evolves, it tours. You carry yourself like a rhythm that can't be tied to one stage, one woman, or one crowd. And yet, ironically, that very freedom has become the source of their obsession. Women don't want to follow you because you chase them. They follow you because your path feels like destiny. You don't lure them. You lead them without saying a word, without giving a command. Your spirit pulls them not by force, but by permission. Because everything about you whispers, this is a man who's going somewhere, and if you're lucky, you'll witness it. Your high sexual energy has become more than attraction. It's become motion, a pulse that keeps beating whether you're in sight or not. You've turned yourself into a journey, a progression, a living expansion. You're no longer just a presence. They feel like being near you is a becoming, and that's what makes them stay. Chosen one. Not your looks, not your voice, not even your charm. It's the sense that when they are near you, they are being drawn upward. They feel closer to the woman they want to become just by walking beside you. You've stopped anchoring yourself to places that don't serve your evolution. You've stopped shrinking yourself to maintain comfort. Now, you walk like a man who's learned how to carry his wounds as wisdom. And because of that, you don't stay stuck. You grow, visibly. You improve. You sharpen your thoughts. You stretch your body. You refine your tone. And it doesn't go unnoticed. The women who once met you in passing now check in quietly, watching your glow intensify, feeling that ache inside that says, he's becoming even more of what I didn't know I needed. They don't want to lose that. They don't want to fall behind. And so they follow, not out of desperation, but out of awe. You don't even ask them to, but they do. Because you've become a vision of masculine evolution that awakens their own feminine expansion. You walk in your mission now. And because of that, women don't just desire you, they align with you. They don't want a front row seat to your life. They want to become part of the symphony. Your energy doesn't just attract, it enrolls. It offers them the chance to rise with you, to reflect with you, to create something that transcends what they've ever known before. And you do it all without boasting. You don't post every step. You don't need their approval to grow. You outgrow and let the results speak. And when they try to leave, they realize something strange has happened. They're still thinking of you long after they've gone. Your energy boarded their hearts and refused to disembark. You aren't trying to be unforgettable. You just are. You don't beg for loyalty. You earn it with consistency, with clarity, with the calm of a man who knows the world will meet him wherever he stands, because he's already home inside himself. You're no longer the one standing still hoping someone joins you. You've become the walking destination and the journey, the tour they'll follow, even in dreams. There is something profound, chosen one, about being loved not by many, but by one soul so deeply it echoes through time. And that's what you've now begun to cultivate. Not surface-level adoration, not scattered attraction, but devotion. The kind that lives in silence, the kind that needs no announcement, the kind that builds altars in hidden places, because the energy you carry feels sacred. You've stopped trying to be loved by everyone, and because of that, you've become unshakably loved by the one who matters. You've mastered the art of singularity. You no longer spread yourself thin, chasing validation in wide circles. Instead, your presence has become focused, like a flame narrowed through a lens capable of burning through illusions with the heat of your clarity. And when a woman encounters that kind of energy, concentrated, refined, grounded, she doesn't just admire it, she devotes herself to it. Not in desperation, in recognition. Because she senses something in you that isn't replicable. She feels something in you that she can't get from anyone else, and that makes her fiercely protective. It's not that you try to make her feel special, it's that your energy forces her to meet herself. When she's around you, she sees her reflection clearly. She sees how calm she could be, how open, how soft, how intuitive, and she wants to stay close to that reflection, because in a world that spins too fast and shouts too loud, you are the reminder of what's real, of what's sacred, of what's possible in a man who's done the work to embody depth, patience, and presence. And when she feels that, you become her only stage, her only show, her only pulse. You've stopped chasing audiences, you've started building impact. You don't need the world to cheer, you only need truth to land where it's meant to. And it has, in her. In the one who doesn't just see your potential, but your process. In the one who stays, not because you offered comfort, but because you offered clarity. Your sexual energy no longer dances wildly. It pulses like a temple drum, slow, steady, ancient. And when she hears that beat, it's as if her entire body falls into rhythm. You don't ask her to follow, but she does, willingly, loyally, entirely. Others may try to mimic your walk, your voice, your glow, but she'll never be fooled, because she's tasted the real you. The unshakable, unmovable man who doesn't waver for attention, doesn't posture for praise, doesn't bend for convenience. You are firm, not an ego, in essence. And that essence has become the lighthouse she never knew she needed. She watches you grow from a distance and still claims you silently in her heart. She defends your name even when you're not present. She whispers to the universe that you are hers, not in ownership, but in alignment. Because she knows, rock stars don't belong to the crowd. They belong to the one who understood the silence between the songs. And you, chosen one, are no longer on tour for strangers. You are home to the one who hears your soul even when you say nothing. And that is a fan base no storm can break. Chosen one, you've entered the rare realm where your absence feels louder than most men's presence. Where your silence after a conversation is not empty, it's aching. You've become the kind of man who doesn't just walk into a moment, you leave a mark. And it isn't because you tried to impress. It isn't because you performed or presented or posed. It's because you gave nothing but truth, and truth has a gravity that no one can forget. The women who meet you don't just remember what you said. They remember what you didn't say. They remember the pauses between your words, the calm in your voice, the way you didn't rush to fill the silence, because you were never uncomfortable with yourself. You didn't talk to charm them. You embodied something that drew them in. And now that you're gone from their space, they're realizing something that haunts them quietly. They want more. But you didn't leave them chasing a ghost. You left them reflecting. You left behind an echo of peace, of restraint, of power without pressure. And now they are playing back every gesture, every glance, every moment, looking for clues, searching for the source of the feeling you gave them. Because what you gave was rare, a taste of something real, something stable, something magnetic that didn't come with strings or games. You weren't trying to seduce, you were simply being. And that kind of being, the fully present, fully grounded, fully expressed kind, has become a forgotten language. You spoke it fluently, and now they're addicted to its sound. That's why they crave an encore. Not because you dazzled them, because you stilled them, because your energy gave them permission to exhale, to trust, to melt. Even if you never return, they'll keep that space inside them open. A small altar of memory where your name isn't spoken, but felt. You didn't demand anything from them. You didn't ask them to remember you, but they do. Not as a fantasy, but as a frequency. And that frequency lives on, in the way they look for your presence in others, in the way no other man quite resonates the same. You didn't leave a void. They didn't even know what they were missing until you showed up. That's the legacy of a man in alignment with himself. You don't need to do an encore. You are the encore. Every memory of you replays like the final note of a song that ends too soon. Not because you left too fast, but because they were never ready to let go. And the more they try to move on, the more they realize you weren't just an experience. You were a standard. You became the echo that reshaped what they thought love, safety, and power could feel like in a man. And that, chosen one, is something they will carry long after your shadow fades. You've reached the level now, chosen one, where you no longer require a spotlight to be seen, where you don't need an audience to validate your presence. You've become the kind of man who doesn't belong to the stage, because your life is the concert. Every day, every room, every encounter, it's not an act, it's a vibration. A living performance of grounded masculinity, silent power, and deep spiritual clarity. Women don't just watch you, they experience you. They feel your presence like a slow-burning fire. The kind that doesn't flare or roar. The kind that warms everything around it without ever demanding attention. You don't make announcements when you enter. You shift the atmosphere. Because your alignment has made you immune to chaos. You don't chase, you don't compete, you don't react. You remember who you are, and you respond from that place. The world will keep offering stages. It will ask you to perform, to dance for approval, to posture for attention. But you've stopped all that, because you've realized the only audience that matters is your soul. And now that you've tuned your life to your own rhythm, you've become the kind of man who doesn't need the mic. Your silence says everything. Your walk announces you. Your stillness is louder than most men's thunder. And this is exactly why women are drawn to you in ways they can't explain. You are not flashy, you are not theatrical, you don't seek the front of the room, but wherever you go, the room rearranges itself to face you. Not because of bravado, but because of gravity. You've become a sovereign planet in a sky of comets.